You or me?
You.
Okay, hi. Welcome to our puppet studio. Today, Jack and I are discussing the question.
Is making art a waste of time?
Now, isn't it funny that we would have this question? But I suppose when you spend countless hours making art, and, well, sometimes it feels like there's little return for it, it's a normal question to ask. But it's also a bigger philosophical question.
Yes, that's true. Now, just as a little notice here, we are doing this entire conversation unedited so that you can see our real thought process, right? Not our final product, just so you know.
Maybe you don't want to see our real thought process. Maybe editing is a good idea, but...
Well, you might not want to see it, but you are seeing it. This is what we're doing in this video today, so let's get going.
Okay, so one more time. What's the question?
Is making art a waste of time?
Okay, so how do we start?
Well, I would say we need to start by kind of trying to define what art is, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're saying, like, okay, what is this thing that's we're wasting time with, right? Okay.
Any philosophical question, you have to start with the definition, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this one, I guess our keywords are art and waste of time.
Exactly. So let's start with art. Okay. What is art?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know this is a conversation in itself, but for the sake of brevity here, can we quickly kind of formulate what art is?
Okay. Well, I think first of all we have to go with visual arts instead of performance arts.
Okay, so we're just focusing on visual arts here.
On visual arts.
Okay.
Yeah, to get started.
This is just about visual arts.
So visual arts, and we can even narrow it more. So is like, let's say, painting, photography, crafting. Are these things a waste of time or not?
Okay.
Okay,
right.
So art being anything that is an expression in reaction to something. So, of course, historical art is in reaction to something that happened in history. In fact, I heard it said last week that history is what did happen and what art is what could have happened. Or what could have happened, maybe it didn't happen, or maybe it did. So otherwise, in a historical art painting, you see somebody, looking like, oh, something horrible happened. But you don't really know how that person looked because you weren't actually there.
Right.
So it's something that could have happened. It's a reaction that happened to an actual event, the actual event being history.
Okay.
Okay?
So then how can we define art? I mean, that's good to know and all, but is that really defining art?
Well,
we'd have to say, like, okay, this is art, and this is not art. Is all human output art? I suppose not, right? If you're doing scientific research, that's not art.
I think Aristotle's idea is that art is what's the word begins with an I? Imitation.
Right.
And that's essentially what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're imitating something totally from your mind that's not real or figurative or something like that, it's still an imitation of something. And that's really vague if you think about it, because everything is an imitation of something that you see. Because you are what you are is you're made up of all the experiences you've had. So anything that art is your output, and it's
which
all
is
in
imitating something else.
Yeah, it's in reaction to your input.
But now that's interesting because that actually means that if you're building a chair, for example, that's art, right? Because you're imitating chairs you already saw, and then you're building a new chair.
Well, no, because that goes into dividing things up into utilitarian, decoration, or only for aesthetics' sake.
So let's take art as only being for aesthetics, so something that fulfills no practical purpose other than to clutter up basements, art museums, walls, and your attics.
Okay. So that's the answer. So that's our art, is making this art that is only for aesthetic purposes. We won't go on about the cluttering of different places, but art that's only for aesthetic purposes is making this a waste of time. So we've defined our art, and now we need to define waste of time.
What is a waste of time? So how are we saying what's a waste of time? So, I mean, there are a few ways you could put this. You could say something which is a waste of time is something that isn't productive, right? Or that doesn't serve any purpose. Otherwise, it's time you've spent. It's not coming back, and you haven't really used it for anything useful. Could we say that's what a waste of time is?
It is essentially that, but of course, useful and all of those are that's somewhat relative, to who you are, or what you consider productive, or what you consider a waste of time. But the,
Well, that's what we're getting
but
to.
the key point is that it does have to have how you spend time has an end goal, right?
Mhm.
So if your end goal is to make money, you're going to do this, this, and this. If your end goal is to be a happy person, you do this, this, and this. If your end goal is to make somebody else miserable, then there's a series of things you can do to make somebody miserable. Your end goal is to make dinner, then you cook. Right?
Right.
So time has to first get defined by your end goal, which actually, essentially, we all have the same. The cat wants to go out. And by your end goal, so what is the end goal of making art?
Well, if our end goal, so how are we going to say what our end goal is here?
Well, that's the thing. Everybody has their own end goal. So without going into some moral philosophical discussion, then we have to have a universal idea of what is a waste of time. So I would say that the only fair way to make it without making a universal statement of what morally everybody's end goal should be, which is like a flourishing society, then you would have to say your personal end goal should be about communication. It's to improve your communication and to aesthetically put out something that you're putting in and finding the way to communicate that. So learning to how to articulate a thought that you have in a visual way.
That's the end goal,
I suppose. And I suppose if you achieve that, then you haven't wasted your time.
Right. So actually, if you achieve good communication and that good communication is directed towards a good purpose, that's essentially not a waste of time.
I think that you just absolutely hit the nail on the head. I have to let Earl. Come here, Earl. Just come here so I don't have to get up because we don't want to cut the camera. Come.
Earl is our British short hair, just so you know.
Come on.
Earl.
All right, he's not buying it. All right, we got to just hurry up and finish.
Right. So we said that communication towards a good purpose, like good communication towards a good purpose, is an end goal. And I think what's good about that is you can agree on that whether or not you're spiritual in any way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It absolutely doesn't matter. Unless you're some kind of nihilist, which I hope you're not. You can agree on that goal.
Well, I think that's a pretty admirable goal because essentially if communication does go better, if people do learn how to communicate between each other, I think that everything would go better. I mean, obviously, we have a lot of communication breakdowns. We have examples of massive communication breakdowns all over the place.
Right.
And you can even take this back to the Tower of Babylon, no? I mean, that was like the ultimate communication breakdown. No, but seriously, I mean, because...
Or maybe it was even the source of all the communication breakdown.
Well, it could...
That's kind of the point of it.
It could be. So that what that means then is art is not... You're not wasting your time making art if you're improving your ability to communicate and your articulation. So then the question comes, if you're constantly videoing yourself when you're making art, are you investing into that intellectual process of making art, or are you constantly aware that you're videoing it, and do you get the same benefits? Like, how do you get these great benefits?
Well, I think that's a different question for a different video.
Okay, let's tackle that one next.
We will tackle that one next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed it.